DoorDash is finally getting sued over their open policy of stealing drivers' tips. So, let's talk about... No, wait, that's something Mark would say. I don't want to steal his thunder. Let's discuss it, shall we? But before we discuss it, how about a word from our sponsor?
And today's video is sponsored by Maximo, the rideshare automation app that allows drivers to safely and easily accept ride requests for Uber, Lyft, and Postmates. Whether you drive for a single platform or multiple platforms, Maximo's custom settings can help you drive more efficient, less distracted, and help you maximize your earnings. It will automatically accept one trip, turn off the other apps, and when your trip is over, it will end it, open the other apps, and accept the next trip, all without you having to touch your phone. Use referral code APP60 and get your first month free when you subscribe to Maximo.
Hey everyone, this is Kevin the Apptrepreneur, and oh look, I've got the shirt. That means it's time to talk about DoorDash. Boy, it's been a while since we've discussed DoorDash, but I actually kind of assumed at one point we would be talking about them again, especially with that whole situation last week about how Instacart was basically doing the same tip stealing method that DoorDash was doing, but unlike DoorDash, Instacart actually backtracked on that policy pretty quickly after the backlash came out, which I still have to give them a lot of props for that. I mean, they stood to lose a lot of money, and other companies aren't doing that. I mean, look at this. Amazon DoorDash will keep the controversial tipping policy Instacart just ditched. It says, Instacart heard the cries of an angered internet and took action. Amazon and DoorDash, on the other hand, seem content to dig in. There you go. And, you know, the CEO from Instacart said tips should always be separate from Instacart's contribution to shopper compensation. Let's see here. But what was DoorDash's response? DoorDash's response to stealing tips was, it was designed to ensure that Dashers are more fairly compensated for every delivery. Since implementing the pay model in 2017, Dasher retention and overall satisfaction have increased significantly, while average delivery times have decreased. Hence why we're talking about this, of course. Yeah, DoorDash is so out to lunch. And by the way, I didn't know Amazon was doing this as well, but it does not surprise me one bit. I actually would have been surprised if Amazon wasn't doing this, but I don't do Amazon Flex, so there's a lot of ads on this site. Maybe I should get an ad blocker. But anyway, we're not here to necessarily talk about this article, because this is just to highlight that not only are they continuing doing this, they are actually being very open and transparent about them doing it. No. What we want to talk about, and let's see if I can switch over to this smoothly without it taking too long. My browser's been running really slow these last couple days, and I don't know why, to be honest, which, yeah, it's running slow. Sorry. Is that DoorDash is being sued for unlawfully taking the driver's tips. Now, before we talk about this, I do want to comment on one ad. You see that ad for Free Solo up here? That's a documentary that's been nominated for an Academy Award for Best Documentary Feature. And now that Won't You Be My Neighbor wasn't nominated, has a pretty good chance of winning. That is a very good movie. You probably can't see it on IMAX anymore. But yeah, if you want to see something that will really get your heart pumping, like oh boy, I'd check out Free Solo. But let's move on to the main topic. It says here, attorneys from Heininger Garrison Davis LLC's class action group have filed a class action complaint against DoorDash Inc. for breach of contract and unlawfully taking tips that were intended for their delivery drivers. Okay, so I guess we have to start and say something right now. I don't know if you can actually sue for breach of contract, because I'm pretty sure they put it in the terms of service that they're allowed to do that. They all put it in the terms of service, because if they were taking money from you and not putting it in the terms of service, then yeah, they're idiots at that point. They are clearly not thinking straight, but I'm pretty sure it is in the contract. So that is already like a false start. However, it also shows unlawfully taking tips that were intended for delivery drivers that they might have a claim on, because, whether or not they actually, well, actually, I don't know. Even if they don't explain it to the customers very well, they probably put it in the customer's terms of service too. But yeah, so, and no one actually knows if this is illegal or not, but Anyway, so yeah, already I'm feeling a little uneasy with how this has started. DoorDash is a national food delivery service, and the case arises from their improper conversion of tips directed and intended for drivers. Well, that's the funny thing, because again, if it's in the terms of service, it might be argued, well, it's actually not intended for the drivers. It's intended to help us compensate the drivers. And hey, if they don't get a tip, we, the gracious DoorDash, you know, evil geniuses that we are, well, we, out of the goodness of our hearts, give to the driver. And only then. But the tips are never meant for them. That would be an interesting case for them to make in this. DoorDash is an on-demand food delivery service which delivers meals from national restaurant chains and local restaurants, as well as groceries from places like Walmart. When a customer places an order with DoorDash, a customer has the ability to leave an additional gratuity or tip for the DoorDash delivery drivers called Dashers. The default Dasher tip is currently set to 10% of the order, but the customer may also leave a custom tip. And in all fairness, that is still one thing that DoorDash does better than pretty much all the other apps, save for Caviar, is that they actually encourage the tip before the delivery. That's one thing about Postmates, why you sometimes get very, very much delayed tips. Heck, I just got like a $9.32 deposit from Postmates. That must have been from delayed tips because people bought some food, they didn't open the app again, then when they went to order something next, like, oh yeah, I did get something, maybe I should leave a tip. DoorDash at least you can get your tips up front, and that's usually why DoorDash was very profitable before they started doing this. So I still give them credit for that. In terms of compensation to its drivers, DoorDash promises each driver a guaranteed base pay for each delivery job plus 100% of the gratuity. However, DoorDash does not remit the full amount of gratuity that a customer leaves for a Dasher. Instead of paying this tip to the Dasher, DoorDash actually uses the gratuity to cover its costs for the guaranteed base pay promised to Dashers. For example, if DoorDash promised the Dasher $5 base pay for delivery and the customer tips the Dasher in an amount of $2, the Dasher still only gets $5. Yes, so that I actually explained that in the video. One of my most watched videos, actually, I explained all of that. On its website and other marketing materials, DoorDash deceptively advertises and represents that a gratuity can be added for delivery and the driver will receive 100% of the tips from the customer. That's where, by the way, this lawsuit can have merit, because you can't be advertising that and then not actually doing it. DoorDash does not disclose that it keeps a substantial portion of this additional charge for itself as its own additional revenue to offset the guaranteed base pay promised by Dashers. This deceptive compensation scheme is illegal and violates federal and state law. I'll let a judge and jury and lawyers figure that one out. It seems like it should be illegal from my perspective. And here's the thing. The reason that they don't tell people that, the reason they're not transparent with the customers that, hey, this is going towards a guarantee, is that the customers, I think, if you're a customer and you want to tip, like if you don't want to tip, then this doesn't matter whatsoever. You just won't tip. But if you want to tip, you probably want the drivers to get the tip. Heck, I remember delivering pizzas for Roundtable years ago, and how many times people say, if I leave a tip on the card, will you get it? This was like some, this had to be like 2004, 2005, something like that. This was back when the concept of tipping on the card was kind of still met with some like, well, are they reporting the tips? Are they keeping for themselves? So we're kind of getting to the point where people just assume that the credit card transaction tip will go to the driver. And if they knew that it wasn't, they would find some cash or spare change or something to give to the driver so that because they don't want to tip the company, they want to tip the driver. HGD attorneys Jim McDowell and Lou Garrison bring the action on behalf of the Dashers plaintiff against DoorDash Inc. for breach of contract, negligent misrepresentation, fraudulent inducement, conversion, unjust enrichment, and violations of consumer protection law. The lawsuit seeks the return of tips rightfully earned by Dashers in order to remedy DoorDash's improper withholding of those tips, which resulted in Dashers not receiving 100% of the tips they were intended for. By the way, that seems like a very fair outcome. Make them give back the money, and by the way, it would be substantial money. So, anyway, this story, it kind of surprises me, and yet it doesn't surprise me at the same time. Again, it does not surprise me that DoorDash did this. I did videos on this for a while ago. What is very fascinating about this case is that we probably wouldn't be talking about this if it wasn't for Instacart. And again, they're very admirable, quick turnaround. They were doing something, they got a little bit of outcry, not even a lot of outcry, and they probably had the foresight to realize, you know what, now that this information's out there, we can't pretend that it's something it's not. We're going to get slammed one way or the other. We will probably get hit with lawsuits. So you know what? Let's just cut to the chase. Let's make ourselves look good. Let's say, hey, we're going to reverse this. This is not what it was intended, and we're sorry that we did it. And by the way, we're going to be retroactively refunding everyone their tips. And whether or not you believe they were sincere in doing that, they did it. And it saved them a lot of publicity. But then it also turned the eye to DoorDash and Amazon. Like you saw that other article, DoorDash especially was very open about, we're not going to change anything. And now we have a lawsuit. Basically, when DoorDash challenged the Dashers to do something about it. And it's really funny that we're talking about this because I just got a DoorDash settlement. DoorDash got sued for something. I forgot what. I've actually gotten 4 settlement checks from DoorDash. And I've at this point been making more money from class action lawsuits from DoorDash than anything else. And that recent check was like for $354. It was actually kind of substantial, to be honest. And some people got way more. I saw people online getting like $2,000 from DoorDash. So it's like, well, good for you. Put a down payment for a car. And the fact that they are actually opening themselves up for this, like they actually almost wanted this to happen, it seems. I know, not literally, but like, what did you think the result was going to be, DoorDash? Tony, what did you think was going to happen? Come on, Tony, we've spoken in person. I know you can't be this dumb, but anyway, yeah. So, in all fairness, I should also give a little bit of credit to Pay to Drive. His video kind of brought attention to this because I don't frequently search DoorDash in the Bing search engine anymore, or the Google one for that matter, because they're usually not in the news. But yeah, this is really big. This is really big, and I'm hoping the drivers don't settle for this one. I'm hoping that the settlement be, hey, you discontinue this policy, and then you give us back the refunds, and we'll call it a day. I hope they don't DoorDash doesn't say, hey, we'll give you $5 million and just let us continue doing what we're doing, which unfortunately is probably what's going to happen. These things don't usually favor the plaintiffs, or very much so. Unfortunately, this is probably not going to change much, but it's out there now. And interestingly, this is part 1 of a 2-part video, sort of. I'm going to upload a video in a few minutes, and we're going to talk about how much money DoorDash has made from this. I considered making it part of this video, but I think I'm going to separate it because of the computer problems we're having. But anyway, other than that, what do you folks think? Do you agree with this lawsuit? Do you disagree? How much money do you estimate DoorDash has taken from you? Have you really counted it? I'd love to know. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoy my videos, consider becoming a Patreon member. It's totally optional, of course, but even as little as $1 a month goes a long way to helping the channel run smoothly. You get access to my patrons only blog, and don't forget to check out my new Apptrepreneur Vlogs YouTube channel. More content is coming there very, very soon. And as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.